If fat loss was just about calories, you wouldn't still be stuck. If it was just about workouts, your belly would already be gone. And if it was genetics, you wouldn't see people reverse obesity in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Here's the real truth most people never confront. Your body doesn't decide to hold fat. Your brain does. And until your brain gives the signal to release fat, no diet, no workout, no supplement will work long term. Because fat is not stored randomly. It's stored on purpose, especially belly fat. And today, you're going to understand exactly why your brain holds onto fat, what signals make it feel safe enough to release it, and how to force that switch biologically, not mentally. Fat is a brain decision, not a body problem. Your fat cells don't act on their own. They wait for instructions. Those instructions come from three places in the brain: the hypothalamus, the brainstem, and the limbic system. Together, they answer one question all day long. Is it safe to burn stored energy, or should we save it? If the answer is no, fat stays locked in, no matter how hard you try. That's why two people can eat the same calories, do the same workouts, and one gets lean while the other stays soft around the waist. One brain feels safe, the other feels threatened. Belly fat isn't there by accident. It's there because it's close to vital organs. It's easy to access in emergencies, and it responds fastest to stress hormones. From an evolutionary standpoint, your midsection is the emergency fuel tank. So when your brain senses stress, sleep loss, inflammation, blood sugar chaos, undereating, overtraining, it sends one clear signal: store fat here. We might need it. That's why belly fat is so stubborn. You're not failing. Your brain is protecting you. The three signals that force the brain to release fat. This is where everything changes. Your brain doesn't respond to motivation. It responds to signals. And there are only three categories of signals that force it to let go of fat. Not ask, not hope. Force. Signal 1, energy safety. If your brain thinks energy is scarce, it locks fat down. This happens when you diet too aggressively, you skip meals inconsistently, you undereat protein, you crash your calories. To your brain, this feels like famine, and famine equals fat storage. The fix is counterintuitive: stable meals, enough protein, predictable eating patterns. When energy becomes predictable, fat becomes expendable. Signal 2, nervous system calm. A stressed brain will never release fat. Cortisol tells your body, danger is near. Save energy. That's why stress creates belly fat. Even without overeating, your brain doesn't know the difference between emotional stress, work stress, survival stress. Same hormones, same response, same fat storage. The moment you calm the nervous system, through walking, breathing, sleep, sunlight, your brain gets a new message. We're safe. We can burn. Signal 3, movement without threat. They try to burn fat with punishing exercise, but intense training without recovery looks like danger to the brain. The brain asks, why are we burning so much energy during stress? And the answer is, lock fat down, but gentle, consistent movement. Walking, lifting, daily activity sends the opposite message. We're active, capable, and safe. That's when fat release accelerates. You cannot override your brain with discipline. You can only outsignal it. That's why willpower burns out, motivation fades, extreme plans fail, but systems work. When blood sugar is stable, sleep is consistent, stress is metabolized, movement is non-threatening, your brain flips modes, from survival to release, from storage to burn, from protection to trust. The moment fat loss becomes automatic. Here's the moment people describe as something just clicked. It's not magic. It's when hunger becomes predictable, cravings soften, energy stabilizes, belly inflammation drops. That's the brain saying, we don't need this fat anymore. And once that decision is made, fat loss speeds up without effort. Not because you're trying harder, but because resistance is gone. The brain's fat lock mechanism. Your brain doesn't just decide to store fat. It locks it. This lock is biochemical. How it works. When your brain perceives threat, it releases signals that increase insulin resistance, increase cortisol, reduce thyroid output, suppress fat oxidation enzymes, and downregulate leptin sensitivity. Translation: even if fat could be burned, your brain blocks access to it. This is why people say, "I'm doing everything right, but nothing is happening." Fat isn't unavailable because you're failing. It's unavailable because the brain has closed the vault. And the key is not effort. The key is convincing the brain that fat is no longer needed for survival. Why dieting makes the brain more protective? From the brain's perspective, dieting looks like this. Calories suddenly drop. Pleasure disappears. Energy becomes unpredictable. Hunger hormones spike. Stress hormones rise. To your brain, this looks like we are losing access to food. Something is wrong. So it responds by increasing hunger, lowering metabolism, intensifying cravings, making fat harder to access, not to sabotage you, to save you. This is why aggressive dieting almost always backfires. The brain doesn't reward deprivation. It defends against it. The reversal principle: how the brain releases fat. The paradox most people miss. The brain releases fat faster when it feels safe, not when it feels pressured. Safety signals tell the brain energy is available, stress is manageable, recovery is possible, movement is sustainable. When those signals are present, the brain says, "We don't need emergency reserves." And that's when fat gets released, especially belly fat, because belly fat is emergency fat. The 3 permission signals the brain needs. To force your brain to let go of fat, you must send permission signals, not commands. Here are the 3 that matter most. Permission signal 1, predictability. Your brain loves patterns. Unpredictable eating equals danger. Predictable eating equals safety. This doesn't mean eating constantly. It means consistent structure. When your meals, hydration, and sleep follow a rhythm, your brain relaxes. Relaxed brains burn fat. Permission signal 2, non-threatening movement. Your brain does not interpret all exercise as healthy. Punishing cardio equals stress. Overtraining equals danger. Exhaustion equals threat. But walking, strength training, daily movement, signal capability, not crisis. Your brain thinks, we're strong, we're functional, we can afford to burn fat. Permission signal 3, recovery dominance. Fat burning happens between workouts, not during them. If recovery is poor, cortisol stays high, fat stays locked, hunger stays chaotic. Sleep, breathing, sunlight, and calm nervous system inputs tell the brain the environment is stable, and stability unlocks fat. The nervous system switch that changes everything. This is one of the most important concepts in fat loss. Your nervous system has 2 modes: sympathetic, stress/survival, parasympathetic, recovery/burn. You cannot burn fat efficiently in survival mode. When your nervous system is calm, insulin works better, thyroid hormones increase, leptin sensitivity improves, fat oxidation rises. This is why walking works, sunlight helps, deep breathing matters, consistent sleep changes body composition. They're not soft habits, they're brain switches. Belly fat is highly sensitive to cortisol, so as long as stress is high, belly fat stays, even if other areas shrink. The mistake people make is chasing belly fat directly. You don't attack belly fat. You remove the reason the brain is protecting it. Once cortisol drops and trust returns, belly fat responds fast, often faster than people expect. The brain trust moment. There's a moment in every successful fat loss journey where things suddenly feel easier. That's not coincidence. That's when hunger normalizes, cravings weaken, energy stabilizes, inflammation drops. That's the brain saying, okay, I trust this process. And once trust is there, fat loss accelerates with less effort. This is why people say, I didn't even try that hard this time. They didn't need to. The resistance was gone. When we say force the brain, we don't mean aggression. We mean outnumbering old signals with stronger ones. You don't yell at the brain. You surround it with evidence, stable energy, calm recovery, predictable nourishment, consistent movement. Eventually, the brain updates its assessment. Fat is no longer required. And when the brain changes its mind, the body follows. Always. Why this works when everything else failed? This approach works because it respects biology. It removes fear signals. It builds trust. It aligns systems. You're not trying to overpower your body. You're convincing it. And persuasion beats force every time. This is how you apply everything you've learned, without obsession, without burnout, and without fighting yourself. Think of this as a daily conversation with your brain. You're not telling it what to do. You're showing it that fat is no longer necessary. Morning. Safety before stimulation, 0 to 90 minutes after waking. The first 90 minutes of your day set your brain's tone. What most people do: grab their phone, spike dopamine, rush cortisol, skip hydration, delay food. The brain reads this as chaos. What you do instead: hydration first. Water signals availability and stability to the brain. Light exposure. Sunlight calibrates circadian rhythm and cortisol timing. Gentle movement. Walking or stretching tells the brain the body is functional and capable. This prevents stress dominance before it even starts. Breakfast that unlocks fat, not traps it. Breakfast isn't about calories. It's about hormonal messaging. A balanced morning meal. Protein, fiber, minimal sugar, stable energy, tells the brain fuel is predictable. When fuel is predictable, the brain stops guarding fat. Skipping breakfast works for some people, but only if cortisol and sleep are already under control. If belly fat is stubborn, structure beats fasting. Midday movement, the anti-storage signal. This is one of the most underrated fat release triggers. After meals, a 10-minute walk, light stretching, easy movement, tells your brain incoming energy is being used, not stored. This improves insulin sensitivity immediately, not eventually, immediately. And better insulin sensitivity equals easier fat access. Unprocessed stress becomes stored energy. The body doesn't differentiate between emotional stress, physical stress, psychological pressure. If it isn't discharged, it becomes fat. That's not metaphor. That's physiology. You stop this by moving stress through the body, breathing deeply, walking, stretching, pausing. Stillness without regulation keeps stress trapped. Movement clears it. Evening signals that decide tomorrow's fat loss. Fat loss is decided the night before. Evening mistakes that lock fat. Late screens, irregular meals, chaotic sleep times, stimulants too late. Evening signals that unlock fat. Consistent bedtime, dim lights, light stretching, calm breathing. These tell the brain recovery is coming, and recovery equals fat burning. Willpower is a stress response. The more you rely on it, the more threatened the brain feels. Threat equals fat protection. Systems, on the other hand, reduce decision fatigue, increase predictability, calm the nervous system. When systems are in place, fat loss becomes a side effect, not a struggle. This is where everything locks in permanently. If you see yourself as someone trying to lose fat, your brain stays alert. If you see yourself as someone who lives in a regulated, stable body, your brain relaxes. Relaxed brains burn fat. This is an affirmation. It's neurological alignment. Your brain follows identity faster than goals. The moment fat loss becomes easy, this moment doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet. Hunger stabilizes. Cravings soften. Energy evens out. Weight shifts without effort. That's the moment the brain has stopped resisting. And once resistance is gone, fat has no place to hide. You never had a fat problem. You had a brain safety problem. Once safety is restored, hormones align, metabolism opens, fat releases, not because you forced it, because your brain allowed it. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. You don't burn fat by fighting your body. You burn fat by earning its trust. And once trust is established, Fat loss is no longer a battle. It's a biological response.